news continues to emerge, thanks in part to Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers head coach, who said not that long ago in a podcast with Michael Irvin when talking about the chances of rookie quarterback Trey Lance winning the starting job in San Francisco right away, that he didn't want to create something that would allow me to generate an annoying headline when he pointed out that in theory, yes, Trey Lance could end up being the starter. So in a more recent podcast with Sean McVay and Peter Schrager, Flying Coach is the name of the podcast, Shanahan, who for some reason agreed to step into the lion's den, said all sorts of things. That first, and let me just raise a broad question here. Here's what I would ask Kyle if I had a chance to talk to him one-on-one, and I've spoken to him before. He's good friends with Chris. I like Kyle. I've said before, I'm on the record, he's got the potential to be a Bill Belichick. He is a genius when it comes to football, specifically offensive football. And but for rash of injuries last year, possibly would have been back in the Super Bowl, could be back this year, could be in the annual conversation, and ultimately could have as many rings as Belichick does. I believe that of him as it relates to his coaching abilities. However, and I'm hesitant to say this because it cuts against my business interests. He needs to stop talking. Take a page from Bill Belichick and zip it. Don't bare your soul. And I want to know the backstory here, and maybe I'll try to find it out. How did they get him to do this? Was this just an ego thing? He and McVay have this rivalry that, I'm not going to act like it's a rivalry. I'm not going to say no to you, because then if I say no, I don't have the guts to come talk to you. Yeah, I got the guts to talk to you. I'll talk to one of my top rivals, young coach, younger than me, guy who's taken his team to the Super Bowl 1 year before I took my team to the Super Bowl, guy whose team has upgraded this year and is one of the favorites in the NFC while my team is trying to get its sea legs again. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm not gonna shy away from it. He said plenty of things. And maybe there's a strategy there that I'm not capable of grasping. But again, I look at Belichick. Belichick would have never done a podcast like that, would have never been so candid about so many different topics, including, most importantly, and I'm not going to get into the other ones because hey, thanks, McVay and Schrager, for giving us something to write about and talk about in the middle of July. But what Shanahan had to say about Matthew Stafford, it became clear that the 49ers wanted Matthew Stafford. They tried to get in the mix for a Stafford trade, but they got involved too late. Ship had sailed. And frankly, I don't think any of it would have mattered. I think it was a deal that was brokered between Les Snead, the GM of the Rams, and Brad Holmes, the GM of the Lions, who had been an executive with the Rams. The experience with the Rams got him the job. The best way to hide the debacle that was the Jared Goff contract was to put him in the Matthew Stafford trade package in lieu of trading Jared Goff to some other team and giving that team a first-round pick to take Jared Goff. That's what they otherwise would have had to do to get rid of Jared Goff if they were going to upgrade at quarterback. This was perfect. This was the best way and maybe the only way the Rams could have pulled it off. Getting a new quarterback while also getting rid of the Jared Goff contract without it being so conspicuous that they got rid of the Jared Goff contract by giving up a first-round pick. So I don't think anything was going to disrupt that deal. I think that's the unvarnished truth. But when Shanahan says, yeah, we called Stafford's agent, Tom Condon, and it was too late. Okay? So what quarterbacks didn't the 49ers want this offseason as an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo? They wanted Matthew Stafford. There's a belief they wanted Sam Darnold. They wanted Aaron Rodgers. That was the news that lit the fuse on the entire Aaron Rodgers explosion of the past couple of months. It wasn't the report from ESPN that Rodgers isn't happy. It was the report from Paul Allen of KFAN that the 49ers had tried the night before the draft to trade for Aaron Rodgers. And then many in league circles believe, and may be right, that when the 49ers traded from 12 to 3, ultimately investing 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick in one player, that Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and was eventually talked out of it and or led to the point where he made the decision on his own that he wanted Trey Lance instead of Mac Jones. So how many quarterbacks other than Jimmy Garoppolo did you want, Kyle, for 2021? How many? It may be easier to list the guys he didn't want than the guys that he did want. We've got Stafford. We've got Darnold. We've got Rodgers. We've got Mac Jones. Ultimately, Trey Lance. And here's what's so strange about it, and this is why I've spent the time to kind of make this point the way that I'd like to. Garoppolo's still the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. What the hell is wrong with this picture? He wanted Stafford. He wanted this guy. He wanted that guy. And as of right now, if they had to play a game today, and of course they don't, Garoppolo would be the starter. And maybe Lance will win the job during camp. But I think back to comments from 49ers CEO Jed York. Right after the draft, he did a podcast with Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Bay Area. The idea that if they keep Garoppolo for the next 2 years while they develop Trey Lance, that's $50 million invested in the development of Lance, because that's $50 million that Jimmy Garoppolo will make over the next 2 years. So, look, I continue to believe that the 49ers have allowed themselves to freak out in the aftermath of not evaluating Patrick Mahomes, not wanting Tom Brady, when Brady wanted to play for the 49ers. Let's rewind to 2020. Brady becomes a free agent, or he's eventually going to become a free agent, and the Patriots didn't really mind that multiple teams were tampering with Tom Brady. Brady makes it known to the 49ers he wants to come home. He wants to play for the team he grew up rooting for. A Super Bowl-ready team, because they'd just been to the Super Bowl, and but for Jimmy Garoppolo not being able to hit an open Emmanuel Sanders, he wasn't quite wide-ass open, as Bruce Arians would say, but he was open. Championship throw, second straight year. A championship throw isn't made. First by Goff, now by Garoppolo. Brady would have made that throw. They didn't want Brady. They decided to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. I just think watching Mahomes versus Brady in the Super Bowl was, in my view, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the icing on the cake, the dollop of whipped cream on top of the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake, that they had to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. They had to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. And here we are, after all of those machinations, after all of those guys that Kyle Shanahan was interested in getting, Garoppolo is still the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers and could be for all of the 2021 season and possibly beyond.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.